Okay, so welcome back to FunHub DSE, and we are now in biology chapter 18. And this is about homeostasis. So first of all, let's talk about the importance of keeping the body in a balanced stage because we like to keep our body in a relatively constant internal environment. And here are some major parameters that we are measuring, like the body temperature, water content, gas content in blood, and also the glucose level in blood. And they are detected by various organs. As for the body temperature, if it goes too low, and then you will suffer from hypothermia, which means you may be dead. And if your body temperature goes too high, you will suffer from the heat stroke, and possibly you will be dead too. And for water content in blood, if the water potential goes too high, that is less negative, and then the cell may burst, so you die. And if the water content goes too low, that is too negative, and then cells may get shrunk, and then maybe you die. And then for gas content in blood, if you have too much carbon dioxide, it will lower down the pH, so blood become acidic and it will affect the enzymatic activities. So in worst case, you may die also. So for glucose level in blood, if the glucose level is too high, you may affect your water potential by lowering it to a more negative condition, and then similar to what happens previously, and then you may die. And if your glucose level is too low, and then you may suffer from these, that is, you may get lost and you are not able to control yourself and possibly death. So you may come across return death in the multiple times. That's why we would like to keep our body in a relatively constant condition. And then how we are keeping our body in balance, because we are using a method called negative feedback mechanism. So whenever there is a stimulus, we acting opposite to that. That is to bring the level closer to the original set point. And how it is done? It is by coordination of the nerve system and also the endocrine system. The endocrine system are the glands that will not have a defined duct. So that's in other words, we call them ductless gland. And the pathway will be we receive a stimulus, and then there is a detector picking up the stimulus, and then the signal is transferred to the control center, and then the control center will fire nerve signal to the effector or fire a signal to the effector, and then we have to bring back the negative effect. And we use the regulation of the blood glucose level as an example. It involves two protein hormones. One is called the insulin, and another one is called glucagon. They are produced by endocrine tissues in the pancreas continuously, and they are having opposite effect. So what are the opposite effects? So for insulin, it decreases blood glucose level by stimulating cells to uptake glucose from blood, stimulating liver cells and muscle cells to convert more glucose into glycogen for storage, stimulating body cells to consume more glucose for respiration. And for all the text in this particular slide, you have to remember it very precisely because especially for the term glucagon, you may mix up with glycogen. This is totally different concept. So beware of every single word in this slide. You have to remember it very carefully and precisely. And for glucagon, it is the hormone to increase the blood glucose level by stimulating the liver cells and muscle cells to convert the stored glycogen into glucose. That's why liver, muscles, and pancreas are the main effector in this system. So what if it fails? So you may suffer from a disease called diabetes mellitus. In short, we usually call it diabetes. It's a summary of the inefficient glucose uptake by the liver cells or other body cells. So the patient will suffer from very high blood glucose level. It will damage their heart, kidneys, eyes, and nerves. And because of a very obvious fact, the glucose will be excreted in the urine. That's why in Chinese it's called 糖尿病. And they will also urinate frequently. There will be two types of diabetes. The type 1 is what I call the bonded one, because the pancreas produces too little or no insulin, so the patient is born with this problem. And regular insulin injections will definitely help. For type 2 diabetes, that is what I call the common diabetes, or what we age the diabetes, because the body cells are insensitive to insulin. That's why the body already has a production, which is quite a lot of the insulin. However, the insulin injection is wasted because it's not helping, because the body is never sensitive to it. And how you can tackle with it? The only way is by monitoring blood glucose level for your whole life. So here is an extract of the HKEA document talking about the homeostasis. If your teacher choose the elective subject of human physiology, you will know definitely much more about glycogen and also insulin. However, if your teacher is not picking that particular elective section, then this will be the end of what you will learn about homeostasis, how to keep your body in a relatively constant condition. So hopefully see you next time. Bye.